Scary Good. Welcome to Daily Dogman on Scary Good NYC. Today we've got a letter from a viewer, so let's just jump right into it. Dear Scary Stories or Scary Good or whatever your name is this week, I'm writing to tell you that, in spite of what everyone else writes to tell you, werewolves are not real. They exist only in movies, on TV, on YouTube, in stories, and in our imaginations. How do I know with such certainty that werewolves are not real? Simple. I saw one with my own eyes. I know what you're thinking. If you saw one, why don't you believe in them? Do you know for a fact that the Dogman you saw was fake? I do not know that. I can only guess as to what it was that I saw. But I know one thing for certain. No matter what it was that I saw, werewolves are not real. Let me explain the context so you can understand me. This happened a really long time ago, long before most of you were even born, I'd guess. Back when this story happened, if a person referred to a werewolf or a wolfman, they meant only one thing: Lon Chaney Jr., the Hollywood film actor. He starred in a movie called The Wolfman in the 1940s and played the monster again in a number of sequels. When I was a kid, the Wolfman was my favorite monster, so when my dad asked me if I wanted to meet the Wolfman himself in real life, of course I jumped at the chance. It turned out that a friend of Dad's from work had a son who was having a birthday party, and somehow he had arranged for Lon Chaney Jr. to come out and scare the kids. I didn't know anyone there, but my dad explained to his coworker how much I love the Wolfman, and the guy was nice enough to invite me and my father. I actually made some new friends at the party, although we all lost touch decades back. It was a fun day, so much fun that I entirely forgot why we had come there, until I saw some of the adults setting up a curtain, blocking off the back door of the house. Someone stood in front of the curtain, giving some kind of introduction. Then, blam! Out from behind the drapes burst this fat guy with a cheap Wolfman rubber mask on. He shouted at us in a raspy voice, and the younger kids screamed and ran away toward the back of the yard or to their respective mothers. I, on the other hand, stood my ground. I wanted to see Lon Chaney Jr., the Wolfman. I wondered if he was due to come out after this fat old guy. Then, the fat old guy took off his mask and called out in his raspy voice that we shouldn't be scared of him. He's just a tired old movie actor. His ancient, bloated face smiled benevolently on all of us, and I realized this was Lon Chaney Jr. He had gotten old and heavy, and he had lost his voice. But this was the real article. This was the Wolfman himself. I remember that I got to talk to him for a while, and I got to ask him questions about the real werewolf makeup. He told me about Jack Pierce and the Wolfman transformation scenes. He said they were difficult to shoot, but very rewarding to watch once they were finished. Then he went on a rant about how he hated playing the mummy and what a waste of time it was having to get into that makeup. He laughed and he told me he forced Pierce to just create a jumpsuit with a zipper on the back so that he didn't have to spend hours every day getting wrapped up in bandages. I laughed too and I said, "So that's why the mummy's bandages look so loose and baggy." He chuckled at my joke but told me I should never watch a mummy movie. They're just stupid, and stupid movies stunt your growing brain, he said, or something like that. So remember that, kids. Wolfman good, mummy bad. Okay, you're asking, what does any of this have to do with Dogman? And how does any of this prove that werewolves are not real? Well, I'll tell you. Driving home from the kids' birthday party, my dad and I were both a bit excited. Dad loved the old Universal monster pictures just as much as I did, so we were both still jabbering back and forth about how we just got to meet the Wolfman. Dad got lost getting to the highway, and we drove around for a while, figuring that sooner or later we'd see a landmark or a sign that would put us back on our course. Instead, we found ourselves on a long 2-lane road, lined on either side by deep forest, as the sky grew dark and the night settled in. Dad finally gave up and pulled off the side of the road. He got the map out of the glove compartment and began studying it intensely. I was bored, so I turned around and looked out of the back window of the car from the passenger seat up front. The road stretched on straight for a long way, then turned at the end. I tried to imagine if our block that we lived on were on this road, how many houses would it be before that turnoff? I counted 1, 2, 3, 4 houses, then somewhere around where the 5th would be, I saw a man walk out of the forest on my left. That couldn't be a good thing. I started shaking my dad's shoulder. He told me to quit it. I shook him harder and told him there was a man. Then the man walked under one of the lights on the road, and that light flickered out. But before it did, I could see that it wasn't a normal man. In that brief split second before the light went out, I saw not a human, but a hair-covered, upright walking monster. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. It was an experience somewhat like sleep paralysis in that I was trying to will myself to make a sound, yet nothing at all was emerging. Finally succeeding in annoying my father enough to get him to look behind us, what we both saw in the next instant was that the figure was now running toward us. Dad uttered some words I wasn't allowed to say, and he started that car up and hit the gas faster than I'd ever seen anyone do it outside of a movie or TV show. Even so, that creature was upon us even as Dad got the car up to speed. The monster ran alongside the passenger seat window, staring in at me just inches away. It must have only been a few seconds, but it felt like eternity to the younger version of myself. I got to look at the face of the Dogman for those few seconds. It was not a Hollywood makeup that I was looking at. It was an animal. This thing looked nothing like the Universal Wolfman, but it was nothing else except a wolfman. It had the head of a wolf, but ran upright like a man so it could use its hand-like paws. It wore no clothes. It was a fur-covered, dog-headed monster. When we got the car up to speed, the monster receded in the distance, and I had myself a long cry. That was the most terrifying thing that had ever happened to the young version of me, and to be honest, I haven't really had many moments that scary since then. My father saw the exact same thing I saw, but still, after things calmed down, he sat me down and we had a talk about the entire experience. Dad didn't think it could possibly be coincidence that we saw the werewolf after meeting with Lon Chaney, the Wolfman from the movies. He had one theory, that our intense imaginations created a thought form of the werewolf or attracted it from its reality to ours. He had another theory, that what we witnessed was some kind of trickster which manifested as a werewolf or appeared to us as one because of what we were thinking when it happened upon us. The main point was Dad didn't want me thinking that the forests were full of werewolves or dogmen. No, these are not natural creatures. It's true that it's possible to see a werewolf, to be chased by a werewolf, maybe even to be killed by a werewolf. But in no way should you ever take that to mean that werewolves are in any way real. The end.
Debbie, I don't understand your cosplay costume for St. Patty's Day Northeast Comic-Con.
I'm going as a leprechaun from the movie Leprechaun. If he was a, bikini model, yo. Hooray!
In the description of this video, we've got a link to our new Scary Stories t-shirt. It's our classic skull logo, and it says Scary Stories underneath in the kaiju monster font. It comes in black and also black and other dark colors, such as black. Good for ladies or gentlemen, hoodies too, whatever you need. Oh, I also should plug the new Those American Girls album. It's got Madeline Starr on it and Patricia Howdigi and Colleen Great, and all the songs are written by Those American Girls. This one has no cover tracks on it. The title is Those American Girls Turn Off the TV, and you can get it from the link or links in the description.
Come back for more scary stories.